Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Room for Seconds. I am here today live again from the Big Chicken Conference in Las Vegas with my good friend Brandon Barton, the founder and CEO of Bite. Brandon, why are you at Big Chicken?
We're at Big Chicken because we have developed a great relationship with Josh and the team and pitched him on our amazing kiosk. And he said, it's a great product, but we actually want to go bigger, as they do with Big Chicken. And today we're really happy to have shared with Perry, Josh, everybody involved, that we have launched a pretty special experience on our Big Chicken kiosk, which is the O'Neill Secret Family menu. So the concept here, if anyone's been to an In-N-Out, they have a secret, not so secret menu, they call it, called where you can add animal style to this. And so we came up with the concept of having the secret Shack menu, things that he liked and his family liked, that is hidden behind an Easter egg, if you will, within the kiosk. Anyway, we debuted it today. We have it live in a couple stores of the Big Chicken brand, and it is going incredibly well.
So you're downplaying it just a little. So when you go and order on this kiosk, Shack dances.
Shack dances. There's gifts throughout the experience of Shack doing cool things. I mean, Shack is perhaps one of the most memeable celebrities that we have had so far. A little shimmy shake, a little thing like that. And so we got the opportunity to ask the Big Chicken team to do some custom stuff for us. I think Pepsi was involved in this, so shout out Pepsi. And we got Shaq to do a little chicken dance. We have Shaq doing a little secret menu, tiptoe. And it really has made the kiosk experience come alive. I mean, the concept of a kiosk just ordering is the baseline these days. Okay, that anybody can do that, but we want to create a very unique hospitality experience that goes through this digital ordering in store through the kiosk. And so this was our way to express that with Big Chicken, and this is the first time we're doing it. We're excited that we have the backing of Josh, Shaq, and the team on it.
It's incredible. It's so cool, and I'm glad that I am supposed to be a customer of Bite, even though I'm the one dragging my feet.
All good. We're here.
But we will. Now, will I be able to do cool stuff like that?
Absolutely.
Right,
This
then
section,
we're good.
Yeah, we can do. We can have you doing a little shimmy
I'm not
shake.
doing that
Okay,
shimmy
no.
shake.
So maybe
we'll do
not.
other things, but that's not happening. So he mentioned Pepsi. So just because I have to, Pepsi is an incredible vendor. They are not my vendor. I am all about Coke. Coke, I love you. Do not forget that. You
Fair
are
point.
my only drink of choice.
I said it, not him.
So, all right, as far as other things that are going on, you are really, really big on what is happening in the tech space
Sure.
and what is changing and evolving in the restaurants to make
Yes.
it still hospitable and have hospitality focus, but then at the same time making it ease of use and ease of pain points
Yeah.
for the restaurant operator.
Yeah.
So what are you seeing besides just kiosks and everything else as why consumers are gravitating towards the restaurants that put tech focus?
Yeah. I mean, the reality is somewhat on the sad side. I chose to spend my career working in technology for restaurants because as a former restaurant operator myself, I understood that the profit margins were deteriorating, cost of food's going up, cost of labor's going up, and you have to lean on technology to help maintain your profitability, to maintain the bottom line. Okay, great. So this is why I have gotten involved. And so for me, products that are helping to either reduce cost or increase sales are things that are really interesting to me. I've been on a bit of a tour talking to all our customers, and two of the questions that I always bring up is, what are you doing with voice AI? Because that's always an interesting subject for reducing labor, for a different guest experience. Also, does it actually work? I've heard things like 90% accuracy, and all I think about is 10% inaccuracy, which is a whole lot. If I said one out of 10 orders were not getting done right.
Imagine if you put out 1 out of 10 burgers was wrong.
That's a wildly high number, but yet people are high-fiving on 90% accuracy. Fair. I'm not dissing the space. I think it'll get there. I also think that where I ask people about robotics in the kitchen. I think that is coming, and there are certain repeatable activities that you can do, whether that's making French fries or helping to cook burgers. And look, I'm not alone in this. I mean, I've had the fortunate ability to go to like the Colonel in New York to see Steve Ells, what he's been doing with this autonomous-ish kitchen. Sweetgreen obviously has the Infinite Kitchen. So I think it's a really interesting space. It's totally outside of what we do in the world of software, but I think these things are going to help restaurants at some point, and we're just at the early innings. So that's an interesting part of the space to me.
So I think in my perception of, let's take Sweetgreens and the automatic and all that, I think it's so cool and you want to go and see it because it's different. But I, as a consumer, worry that is everything being changed the way it's supposed to be, and is all this actually happening? Because you don't have to pay attention all day.
Yeah.
So if there's something wrong in that shoot of vegetables, you don't know because no one's going to say anything. There's no one monitoring it all day.
Interesting.
And
so, I mean, I don't know how to. Well, go ahead.
I mean, so for me, cooking is still art.
Yes.
So no matter how you slice and dice it, hey, McDonald's can use a robot. It's simple. They cook one style, one way. It comes out the same all the time because there's no art in that. It's cook it till it's done, overdone, and serve it.
Yes.
In those type of situations, I think robots are great. I don't know in the higher end or fast casual segments if a robot can cook a burger consistently medium or medium rare or to the specifications of a consumer that still wants it their way all the time, which is why kiosks are so hot because you can order
whatever
exactly
you want, whenever you want. Yeah, look, I mean, I understand the point. I probably agree with you today, but the reason it interests me is because of the potential of it. And like, if you go to the furthest extreme on the highest high end, and think about Michelin kitchens that utilize perfectly calibrated water baths that cook a steak to a perfect temperature. This is automation as well, right?
100% agree.
And so they're pumping out 20 a night, right? But like, they're putting out incredible food using automation. And so there is this possibility on this super duper high end where that's supplementing a cook or the work that they have to do by being able to keep it in like a perfectly 125 degree water bath. I also think about like 15, 20 years ago, there was not a buzzer that would go off when the fries were done cooking at McDonald's. And so somebody had to pay attention to that. And this is like a seed of automation, just saying, put the buzzer on so we pull out perfectly golden French fries.
Supposedly their fries were a lot better back then too.
Well, yeah, sure. Probably I have eaten more McDonald's in my youth than I have in my adult days, so I cannot tell you. But all that being said, these are all little pieces of like, how can you make something better? I do agree with you. It's not there yet. Nobody's really done it at scale. I don't know how Sweetgreen solves for the bad batch of lettuce and the big batch of lettuce, but fundamentally, I think it has to go there, or else restaurants are going to go out of business because there's no way to make more money. There's no way to take more price. I mean, you and I have spoken about that. Consumers are not willing to pay $20 for a salad, and they're already paying like $15, $16 for one today.
Nope, I agree. It's going that way. I'm just worried it goes too far too fast, and the experience of what makes a restaurant special goes away.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what you've heard me say repeatedly. I think tech has gone so fast in this industry where we had none.
Yeah.
The restaurant industry was
traditionally
nothing. You were lucky if you got a new POS company.
Sure.
And now you're being bombarded with everything to solve every problem that I'm just worried that we're going to move so far so fast that great technology like yours is going to not happen because let's go get this one, let's go get this one, let's go get this one, and then you can't focus on where we really need to be today.
Yeah.
And us as restaurant people are struggling.
Yeah.
So profit is getting slimmer and slimmer and slimmer, and margins are eroding, labor's going up, and that we're all looking for that magic pill.
Yeah.
But you've got to be so smart and strategic in where you invest in every day.
Yes.
And I think restaurants are forgetting that and going for everything all the time.
Yeah, look, it's a great point, and my hope as an entrepreneur in the space and a former operator is that that's not the case. But I can see where people do overstep and do too many things with technology. I get that. I think I'll give you an example of just something that the conversation I had recently with an operator. They were considering they were saying basically that their operations were not giving the hospitality that they wanted to, that was their pre-COVID hospitality. They feel like they lost something during COVID that they needed to gain back. And they said, I'm going to wait on using kiosk until I figure out that, and then I'm going to get there with the kiosk. And I said, alternatively, why don't you do both at the same time? Let's pick one store in which you're going to try this and use kiosk and try to figure out how to craft hospitality around it, and one store where you're fixing your hospitality at the same time. And so the reason I bring it up is I think that if you have the right set of operators thinking about how to craft hospitality differently, you're going to come up with the right. And by the way, I mean hospitality. It could be the employee experience. I mean, Opus is here. Rachel's built an incredible company that really is focused around creating an incredible employee experience. Right? They're training and so forth. That's using digital to create a better hospitality experience for your team. So if you take the time to think about it and put your guideline, training, spins around it, making sure that people understand what to do, there's a much higher rate of success for these products in a restaurant that can make them more profitable and do the things that they promise to do, rather than just throwing something in there and saying, I hope this works. And I guess this is all banal stuff, right? Like, I'm saying things that have been said before, but the rubber meets the road. The companies that actually care about hospitality are going to help you to do that, not just put some product.
I'm Gregg Majewski, and I've been a multi-unit operator for 26 years. I know how great it feels owning the right franchise brand, but choosing the right franchisor feels even better. At Craveworthy Brands, our hospitality-driven culture sets us apart because we're invested in your success at every single stage of your journey. We're operators alongside you, paving the way forward to give you a head start on greatness. Start your franchise journey at craveworthybrands.com. So, and that's why Craveworthy decided Bite was going to be our partner in kiosks and all that, because you explained it. I'm anti. I don't want it. The hospitality component, I think it's important to be, hey, when someone walks in the door, you greet them. When someone walks out, you give them a slap on the ass to tell them thank you. And that's how I was raised in the industry.
Sure.
I mean, but that's what we did. And I didn't want to lose that.
Yes.
And then I listened to you for quite a while explain, no, put somebody out there and you still have that person. Yeah. And it took me a while to make the jump to saying I could still have everything I had before, just with less people.
Yeah.
So your solution gives you that if you actually invest in it the way it should be. You just can't put tech out and say, hey, here's tech, too bad, use it.
Correct. It's not anybody who says that they have, that is the magic pill fallacy. Okay. Anybody who says, here's this one thing, go put it out there, it's going to change your life. It's not true. And, any change in a restaurant, and this just goes for up and down the entire guest experience that isn't well thought out and considered, but from every angle, is going to fail. You know this. You put a new menu item on and you don't teach the cooks how to cook it well, it's going to fail. So it's no different with technology, the level of intense kind of scrutiny that needs to be put in place in order for something to be successful.
And Opus can help you fix that so you don't have those failures with kitchen.
I appreciate it. I have more operators tell me how great Opus is. And
Opus is awesome. I use it.
Well, and
also my training platform for Craveworthy.
Funny enough, like when we are rolling out kiosk across a franchisee community, who has Opus, we're going to see higher success rates because they have a path to educate their team on changes, like change management. So makes sense.
So you brought up on AI and that AI is able the next wave and that it gets 90% right. How does AI fit into the third-party world and taking the orders to make third-party sort of more hospitable? Because there's nothing hospitable about DoorDash or Uber and all that. They're a necessary evil, but ordering off of those systems are the most clunky things in the world.
Interesting. I would offer that there is one thing that actually is wildly hospitable, so to speak, and hospitality comes in a lot of forms, and in this form I'm saying speed, is my credit card is saved on nearly every restaurant in town. And so there's this wonderful part of that where you don't have to go fumble around, put a 16-digit credit card number in, get a text from Amex, put that 6-digit number in. I mean, it's like, give them, your mother's maiden name just to place an order for a burger. Okay. So there is something kind of beautiful about that. Again, I'm not necessarily the biggest 3PD person in general, because I know the impact that it can have negatively on restaurants. I also know that I think the tide's turning a little bit on the 3PD, but the reality of AI in the third-party delivery sphere is, and this is maybe like a hard truth, the big third-party delivery companies are going to be able to leverage AI much better than the restaurants are. And so it only is going to widen the gap of guests that are going to be using that versus using first-party delivery. And so maybe that's a tough pill to swallow, but when you look at the cost and the experimentation that's necessary to make artificial intelligence work at scale, DoorDash is going to just do it better. And they're going to have better preferences for the guest, the person who's ordering, give them better suggestions. I do think that there's an opportunity to tease out more information about the anonymous third-party delivery guest that orders and maybe find them to become a first-party delivery guest. I don't know if I've necessarily seen that at scale work yet. So, yeah, I think maybe it's a little bit more of AI is going to help the big guys, and the small guys are going to be a little bit behind on that.
I would agree. I mean, that makes sense. It's also the whole idea behind what we do is allow the little guys to compete on a big guy level.
There you go.
I do like that, so maybe I can put that to my advantage somehow.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who has a strong corporate perspective on this stuff is going to give their franchisees and their brands a much better chance at leveraging tools that are really complex. Like AI is really complex. It's not something that's just out of the box going to work. Yeah.
So if you were going to advise a restaurant,
Yes.
a mom and pop operator or a small chain, what should they invest in first? What should be their first piece of tech, and then the second and third?
Oh, interesting.
You know?
Like base level, sure. I mean,
Yeah,
point of sale system. Right.
Okay.
Let's start
Yep.
with this. I mean, I'm assuming we're talking non table service, right? So like
fast casual
QSR. Impossible to operate a restaurant without a point of sale system. I'd say the second is actually KDS. I think it's probably pretty hard to operate a modern kitchen without having a bump bar and the ability to use digital screens in a kitchen. I mean,
Okay, so we'll group those two as one.
Okay, fine.
So the
point of sale
KDS
sure.
system.
I think
then
then
where should they go?
everything, opening up every possible channel for guests to order. Okay, so online, probably 3PD as well. I mean, I think it's silly to think that you can find as many people as DoorDash can. So doing both, certainly kiosk, and then certainly an app. Now, what I would say about an app specifically is that it's very hard to get people to download your app, but the idea is to try to probably work with somebody who will do your online ordering and your app as well. And sometimes that includes a loyalty company. So like there's a question mark there, but an app is something that is more of
So an instant TVO type.
yeah, sure. I think the Patronics folks do that. The Punch folks do that.
Punch is hard for a mom and pop.
Yeah,
So,
no,
and
but this,
I'm
and
a
the
Punch
small,
and instant TVO customer. Punch would be hard for a mom
yeah,
and pop.
sure. So there are large
Or small
partners here,
chain.
small partners here, but opening up all the digital ordering channels just makes sense. They're the most efficient channels typically in terms of their profitability, and why wouldn't you not want to reach more guests, right? So that would be my next step, and then I would be looking at things like guest feedback and CRM and things like that. Of course, I'm skipping over some like inventory management and some of these
Right.
back of house tools that are in that same realm as when you put in online ordering. I think AI, just like let's say voice AI, would be on the back end of that. Robots, back end of that. I don't think that's going to be a necessity on day one when I start my famous Brandon's Chicken brand or
You don't want to say
Beef
chicken.
Burger
Yeah.
brand, Brandon Burger.
There's enough chicken standing around right now. There's enough. I'm in hostile territory.
Are you really?
I mean, I have 2 chicken brands, and I'm at the big chicken franchise conference. It's sort of scary walking around.
I mean, by the time this comes out, I'm sure, the world will have known that Dana White's coming here. So we might as well mention he's coming here to speak and then take you on. Okay, so
No problem.
sure.
We'll have a little wrestling match underneath.
I got your back.
No problem.
I got your back.
I know, like 2 chokeholds. It'll be fine. And then it'll be a table or anything else I can grab.
It'll be a real quick sleep. No worries.
Uh-huh.
You'll be out for just a minute.
So, so as you back to our point, the 3 items that you have, I would put accounting software in inventory is
Sure.
number two.
Sure.
Being that most restaurants don't know what their actual numbers are,
Yes.
I think that's the most important thing. And a good POS gets you somewhere, part of it.
Yes.
And Toast has some great modules that help you get to a certain point, but you need that full system. You need to know everything about it. You need to know where to go. Restaurant 365 is obviously somebody that I'm a big supporter of. But as you get started, QuickBooks Enterprise is all you need. You need to have a scorecard. And most restaurants don't put a scorecard out every month.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
And so you forget. And if they don't have that, it doesn't matter anything else.
Yes. You need the
know?
compass, right?
Yep.
If you want to know where you're going, you got to figure out where you
Just
are.
like your company, I'm sure every month you look at a financial.
Yes.
And you know what you're doing and where you're going. A restaurant has to do that.
Yes.
And so many of us don't.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, financial literacy is actually something I think that we should teach more GMs, regional managers, not just at the corporate level.
Agreed.
It's going to tell you the story of how you need to fix your restaurant if there is problems. So
And let's talk about that,
Sure.
because that's part of the education that's not happening because restaurants are struggling so much to find labor and spend that time.
yes,
But to get your GMs to understand how to run a restaurant and be profitable, you got to spend that time on your P&L.
Yes.
And how to make it important. So we believe in a big bonus program where they get their financials based on income and based on profitability, based on the things they can control, but that makes them want to see the P&L every month.
Every day.
And, every week
Yeah.
to know where they're running. And we've gotten away from that because we've been so short-staffed.
yeah.
And so you bringing that up is just interesting to me because you're right, not enough people do it.
When I worked in one of the most, I think, financially disciplined restaurant groups, this is in the fine dining in the full service world, I had the fortunate ability right out of school to work for Restaurant Associates and Patina Group. And we texted the GM and the regional manager 3 or 4 numbers about what happened every single night. It didn't matter if it was midnight. And I say texted, I'm fairly sure we actually called them and left a voicemail that would get distributed. So this is how long ago that was. But it was top line sales. It was how many covers we did. They wanted bar sales broken out separately. And then there might be like how many specials were sold, right? And so that discipline of the person wanting to know that, but then also inherently teaching me that, if I want to be that person one day, I need to know this every single day. And we would celebrate. We did 25K tonight. We did 26K. We'd be pushing at the end of a shift to try to maybe encourage the last few tables to have another glass of wine or something to get to those numbers. I think if you're not looking at numbers, you're not encouraging the behavior that you want to improve those. I mean, you have to measure your success, and then that's how you're going to celebrate the wins.
So all of my restaurants every night have to email me, and they're regional and all that, but they actually have to put me in the byline.
Oh, shit, I'm saying the exact thing.
They send me basically their shift report.
Yes.
And their shift report gives, hey, what went wrong and all that, and they laugh because I can't read them all.
No.
But all of a sudden, I'll start responding to a couple or see just enough, and I'll be like, "Whoa, what went wrong here? Why is this?" And it lets them know that you're paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
And too many people get away in today's time without auditing those little things.
Yes.
And so it's a stupid task, and they all complain about doing it, but they now know their numbers because they're afraid I'm going to ask them a question.
I love it.
And we do that. So every morning and every shift, I wake up with 85 or 90 or whatever number it is.
It's going to be 1,000, baby.
In my inbox, and I skim through them every morning to answer a couple questions.
I'll give you a little story from my days in consulting. So we worked with another great Chicago restaurateur in Let Us Entertain You. And so every single GM and chef, every single morning, is it morning? Yes, every single morning, they would go through yesterday's PMix, and they wouldn't send it to corporate digitally, but they had to write it down in a book. And the reason they had to write it down is because that transfer of information from the tool that actually I was selling to them called Avero, this great business intelligence tool, instead of just printing that out or putting it in Excel and sending it, the fact that the chef and the GM had to sit there and write it from one to another in a meeting for an hour every morning meant that they were processing it. And this, it didn't matter how advanced digitally we could make this happen, they would never get rid of that logbook and that piece of paper that they had to do this every single morning on. And it's no shock to me that Lettuce and what Rich Melman has built, and now RJ and the team are kind of carrying on, is a successful restaurant group because they have people that are willing to, not just people, but processes that are willing to go to this level of saying, maniacal level of detail to understand, oh, we sold 75 chickens today. That yesterday was 45. Why? What happened? Oh, that's the essence of profitability right there. Like figuring out those variances, that's what's going to hit the P&L. That's what's going to eventually hit the bottom line.
Very, very cool. Well, we're getting waved because we have to get back to the big chicken franchise meeting. But thank you very, very much for spending a couple minutes with us.
Man.
Where can everyone find you? And you have a podcast as well.
I do have a podcast. Check it out. It's The Simmer. Kristen Halley and I, very famous and amazing journalists in the restaurant tech space, have our podcast. We've had Gregg on. You can find me on LinkedIn. Look up Brandon Barton at Bite. Brandon@getbite.com is my email if anyone needs anything.
Wonderful.
There it is.
And everybody, thank you so much for another great episode of Room for Seconds. We're going to go find out what else Big Chicken's got cooking. And again, you know where to follow us for all of our information. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. Thank you. See you again.
Go big, go home.
Hey viewers, thanks again for supporting Room for Seconds. If you found this episode inspiring, interesting, or any bit informative, please hit that little subscribe button down at the bottom so you never miss an episode. In my 26 years in this amazing industry, I've been blessed with incredible mentorship. This show is my way of giving back. Follow me on LinkedIn, search Gregg Majewski, on Twitter, @Gregg_Majewski. If you still have room for more, visit our website at media.craveworthybrands.com. You'll find more videos, shows, notes, blogs, resources, and an easy way to get in touch with the Craveworthy Brands team. I'm your host, Gregg Majewski. Thanks again for tuning in to Room for Seconds.